Welcome back to a special episode of the Non-League Paper and Football League Papers podcast. We're merging as a Christmas special for your entertainment. I'm joined by the NLP Executive Editor, John Couch, and our Chief Writer on the Football League Paper, Chris Dunlavy. Chaps, we're going to have a little look back at 2025, pick out some of our favourite moments across non-league and the Football League. Are we all set for Christmas? All ready to go? Couch, you not having any late runs to the garage tomorrow? Or anything like that?
No. I've been pretty organised. Yeah, I'm all set, all wrapped. Can't believe it. Just don't know what to do with myself. I have to do some work, I suppose. But
there's plenty of work to do because the NLP and the FLP will be out on Sunday as usual. So make sure you subscribe to like and subscribe to this channel. Also subscribe to the papers. We'll pick up the papers in the shop on Sunday. We'll be out as usual with all that Boxing Day, and there's quite a lot of action in non-league on Saturday as well, isn't there, Couchy? So yeah, busy. Still a busy week. But let's start maybe. How about a moment of the year? I'm going to come to you, Couchy, first of all. What would you sort of say one of your favourite moments of 2025 is? It's sort of about this period now where we reflect back, but across the whole year.
Mine's quite easy. Mine's from a sort of sentimental point of view, sort of going back to my roots. My first job in journalism on my local newspaper. Covering Aldershot Town, and that was sort of the club that got me into non-league football as we know it today. And they're a club who haven't had a great deal of cheer about over the years. Gone bust a couple of times, and they've never really been able to put together a run of any sorts for to get the fans off their feet over the year. But the fans have stuck with them through a lot of thin, really, in amongst the thick. But this year was their year, and they got to the FA Trophy final at Wembley. It's the first time in the club's 99-year history that they ever got to Wembley, and they won 3-0. They beat Spennymoor Town in that FA Trophy final. They scored Josh Barrett got an absolute storming third goal, playing in front of nearly 22,000 Aldershot fans. Never knew even 22,000 Aldershot fans even existed. But it was just a great day for the area that I'm from, and a day that they'll never forget. Me neither, really. A lot of people a lot of very, very good people at that football club who work very, very hard in keeping things ticking. And it was their day. It was one that they thoroughly deserve. So, very poignant day that was.
The first time they'd ever been to Wembley as well, wasn't it, Couchy?
99 years. Yeah, I mean, founded in the original guise, Aldershot FC in 1926. And obviously went to Aldershot Town back in 1991. And, they almost went out of business again. 2023 when they come out of the Football League, but managed to keep their head above water. They've gone all the way back from Isthmian Division 3 to come into the National League and then back into the Football League, which is a huge day for the football club. Spent 5 years there. I don't know if you remember, but the Dean Holdsworth was in charge when they beat West Ham in the Carling Cup, and then went on to play Manchester United, and that was
didn't that coincide, that Man United game, with you sort of returning back to the Aldershot News? And
it did. Yeah, my second spell, my first day back was. I think I must be a jinx on them.
But you went around to your local paper for a bit. Then they're playing.
In the 4 years I was away, they were flying. So, I think I was a jinx on them. Yeah, that was the beginning of the end. That was, but great day for the football club. That
to be fair though, Couchy, I remember, because my first year on the non-league paper was 2007, and that was when Aldershot won the conference title.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that team. Like, obviously, like sort of Brazil of the conference then.
But remember under Gary Waddock,
Remember Scotty Davis? He'd be like, I feel like every other game he's just smashed one in from about 30 yards that season. Like, he literally, I think he must have got about 7 or 8 from outside the box.
He's on the halfway line for Slough this year, didn't he?
Still doing it, isn't he? Scotty
Really?
Davis, yeah.
He scored from the halfway line, didn't he?
Yes, it is. Yeah, pretty sure. I think he's done more than one. I think he's done more than one from the halfway line. But no, he's a regular free kick goal scorer from sort of 25, 30 yards out. Yeah, still going very, very strong. Very, very popular man in non-league circles. Friend of the non-league paper. Yeah, but yeah, well, what a legend he was in an all-shot shirt. Yeah, good times. So yeah, this was a year. So nice, easy one for me. That one this year.
Have they still got the big? There's that period where they had the biggest pitch in the country, didn't they? Outside it was it outside of Trafford? Was it?
Yeah, they had a big pitch in Wembley. Yeah, they did. Yeah. I don't think it's as big these days. I think they had to they had to increase the size of the dugouts, so they had to sort of narrow it a little bit. But yeah, at one point, I think it was. I remember growing up, Aldershot was seen as one of the biggest football pitches in the country. It was.
Yeah. Have I told you about the goal I scored at the Rec many years ago?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, so I scored an absolute screamer at the Rec many years ago in my sort of Fleet Spurs A days, and straight into the top corner. The only problem was it was in the warm up, and I was on the bench and we lost. I was a defender. And when we went 2-0 down, I was like, oh well, I'll just go and sit back down then, because I'm not coming on. Great strike. I've scored there. The 3 non-league grounds I've scored at: Aldershot, Farnborough, Hampton, and Richmond. There you go.
Well,
there you go.
I could add Leatherhead and Camberley Town to that. That's probably about as far as I go.
Camberley Town, but didn't score there. But some might say I slipped through the net, but here we are. We're Chris, what about your moment of the year?
It's a funny one, because obviously Wrexham are a club who get a lot of sort of, they get a lot of negative publicity, don't they, for the money they've spent and for what's gone on. I think there are club opposition fans love to hate, but I think it's pretty difficult to look beyond them winning that third straight promotion, really, because just, it had never been done. It had never been done by anybody. And look, we know they had the money, we know they had the backing, we know they could kind of outbid a lot of people in the division. But that's been true of a lot of clubs in the past as well. And relatively speaking, and nobody's ever done what they've done, and which is to go from the National League or the Conference as it was all the way through to the Championship with consecutive promotions. So I think in terms of a once, like I say, it was maybe inevitable that they were going to get there at some point, but to do that at first in 100 and however many years of the EFL, that is quite an incredible achievement, even with the players they had. And if you look back at it last year as well, you had Birmingham in that league. You had a lot of good teams in that league. They were new to it. I think there were a lot of sort of knowledgeable football people saying that they wouldn't find it as easy as everybody thought they did. They didn't necessarily have, brilliant standout players right across the board, but they did it. And I think, you've got to give Parky credit.
Yeah, kept the same manager as well. That's another.
Exactly. Kept the same manager. They kept a few of the same players. And they did it, yeah. So for me, I think that's an achievement like that which had never been done. I think it's very difficult to look beyond that. There were nice stories. I think Leeds bouncing back from losing the playoffs and winning the going up from the Championship in the style they did. Sunderland's promotion was incredible, really. Like when you look at the team they had, I think that was a massive overachievement. But yeah, I think just for the uniqueness of the achievement, I think you've got to say Wrexham, really.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think you say people obviously talk about the money, and yeah, it's clearly that investment has been there and sort of powered this their rise. But do you think, you say, Phil Parkinson is getting enough credit for it as well, because it hasn't been done, and that's not an easy. It was a bit of a risk for him to come down into non-league. I know, Chris, you've spoken to him for many times down the years.
Yeah, I've always found him pretty sound. I think he was what they needed, wasn't he? You can sort of say people are pragmatists, can be used in quite a sort of pejorative way, but I think he is a pragmatist. He's not someone who's wedded to a philosophy. He does what's required to get out of whatever division he's in, or to win whatever competition he's in. And I think that's what they needed, because it would have been very easy, wouldn't it? It would have been very easy with the money they had to go and sign kind of like names and just people who go and splash it on big names and not necessarily the people you needed. And I think what Phil's done really well, and it's not just him, they've got a recruitment department, but I think what they've done very well there's two things really. It's sign the characters. It's sign the people who, one, are kind of up for the pressure and can handle all the, everything that comes with playing for Wrexham, really. But also people who buy into it. But also the other thing that they've done really, really well is buy players to suit the level they're at. So, you look at the team, what they've done is they've gone into the Championship and they haven't started thinking about 3 years down the line or 4 years down the line. They haven't gone, well, we're going to get these prospects. They've gone, we're going to buy a team for this division. And you look at who they bought, people like Josh Windass, Lewis O'Brien, Kiefer Moore. It was just people who knew that division inside out, were proven, could step straight in and do a job. And I think if you look at what they've done every step of the way, that's the thing they've done really, really well. Is just, and listen, you have to have money to do that. Most teams do have to speculate and try and get value and try and get young players who they can improve. But, I think they're a good example of it. It's easy to spend good money badly, and they've spent good money well. And that's what I think they've done really well.
Yeah, I always think with Wrexham, to me, you say there is all that kind of the hullabaloo around it and everything that's sort of come with it, and the sort of growth in fan base and the people that sort of jumped on the bandwagon. But I sort of think back to the people who were kind of there on the terraces when they were not scoring goals a few years ago in non-league and really struggling, and also times even having to battle away from the relegation zone in the conference. And think about that season where the true fans were sort of going and watching them when they got 98 points and still didn't go up, and all that kind of things. So it's those sort of people like Garen Parry at the club, who's been there sort of donkey's years and would always be, such a knowledgeable sort of football person who's enjoy seeing at a game and having a chat with. I think for those sort of people, it's it must be kind of a bit of a mad experience. It would be interesting to know what some of the fans who've been there, all the time, sort of what they make of it now, and how has it changed, and because sometimes with the sort of success, it does bring other things with it, doesn't it? So do they enjoy it as much? I don't know, but I'm sure most of them have been on that.
Big crowds in non-league though, didn't they? I mean,
I remember going up to Brighton, in the Brighton years ago in the FA Cup.
Yeah,
third round, and they were their away fans were just so good.
It took them 15 years to get out of that, I think, isn't it?
Well, this is it. But their support was always just like brilliant. Seeing them at Wembley winning the FA Trophy and things like that. So their support has always been, those people there in the sort of the wilderness days certainly deserve it, don't they, as well? So What about a manager of the year? Couch, it would come to you first. A manager of the calendar year. It was a bit of a tricky one to go over the 2 years. I'm sort of worried you might say who I'm going to say, but
I mean, I'm probably going to go into non-league, and I'm probably going to go with Luke Garrard at Boreham Wood. He's come back for his first spell. It was there for sort of 9.5 years. Club legend, got the team into the National League, and very, very close to promotion to the Football League for a club of that size. That was a huge achievement. And then for some reason, one season 3 years ago, it just didn't happen for them. And they just before their impending relegation, he stepped down. The club did eventually get relegated, but within 2 months, I think, even now, I think it was about 7-8 weeks of this new season, he's back in again. Within the first, this was sort of last year, and then within his first season in charge, he's climbed the table, got them into the National League South playoffs, finishing 6th. End up winning those playoffs to get back in the National League again, which is an incredible achievement. And then kick on again, and then then they find themselves 2 points off the top of the table. They just beat Carlisle last week. They're in the FA Cup third round, having beaten 2 Football League sides. I think that's the 4th time in 6 seasons they're there, and they just keep going on and on and on. And they're picking up huge signings like Zach Brunt, Regan Booty, incredible signings at that level. And all of a sudden, they're now mixing it with the likes of Carlisle, Rochdale, York City, Forest Green Rovers at the top of the National League. And huge credit for what he's done. good guy with it as well. Good non-league guy, and it'll be great to see him get a go in the Football League at some point.
Yeah, bring through Abdul Malik as well. Is flying for him, isn't he? And we're getting, he's got players into the Football League. Stallwood Thomas obviously ripping it up at Stoke as well, isn't he? And he's been sort of come through Boreham Wood. So I was there as well. So he's got sort of history from that point of view as well. I thought you were going to say, well, I think it's kind of a bit of an open and shut case. And I think also they won 8 games in a row to get promoted as well.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, in a very tight division, very tough division.
Yeah, could have won it on the final day.
It was a huge achievement.
Yeah, exactly. I think obviously
as soon as they got there, you just knew they were going to go up. Because of the experience they had and the quality they had. Even though they finished 6th, they had to win 3 away games to get through those playoffs. Obviously, in the National League, playoff system is a lot different to a Football League. You've got to win 3 away games from 6th and 7th to go up, and that's exactly what they did, and they did it very impressively.
Yeah, unbelievable. I thought you were going to go with Andy Peaks. I think Luke.
Well, yeah, that was
Andy Peaks is everyone as well. With obviously what he's been doing at Tamworth and start of the year, almost knocking. Well, they went so close against Tottenham, didn't they? In that FA Cup 3rd round. Another day they could have caused an incredible upset, but to get a part-time team up to where he has into the National League is a great achievement. Then they've sort of stayed there. Top 10 finish last year, again doing well this year, but. Yeah, Luke and Andy Peaks in non-league certainly doing well in National League. Chris, what about you? Anyone sort of stands out for yourself in the Football League, maybe?
Easy peasy. I mean, it's pretty difficult. I mean, as you say, it's tricky, isn't it? Because when you've got a half a year to consider. I mean, as I said about Sunderland, you look at Regis Labrie and what he did with Sunderland for half a year, incredible. You look at Scott Parker at Burnley, didn't lose a game in 2025 when they went up, conceded 7 goals. But I think if you're going over the calendar year, there's only one winner, and it's got to be Frank Lampard. Has to be at Coventry, because if you look, I looked at it earlier actually. If you look at 2025, Coventry have taken 89 points in the calendar year from 44 games, which is, in all likelihood, if that was over a season, it would be at least 2nd, probably the title. And really, you look at what he's done there with I mean, look, I think the side that Mark Robbins had built was a very, very good side. The selling Hamer and selling Victor Gyökeres, building that sort of financial foundation that allowed them to get people like Victor Torp and Ellis Sims and Haji Wright and kind of, that was a team. Even under Robbins, you looked at that side and you thought, well, that's a top 6 side, no problem. And I think maybe Frank's just gone in, and it's nothing against Mark Robbins, but I think Frank, it just feels like we went in there and kind of liberated those players. That they were a very structured side under Mark, very sort of, it was a bit of a horses for courses type strategy. They tended to change formation a lot and that sort of thing. Whereas I think Frank's gone in there and thought, right, with these attacking players I've got, we're just going to go for it. And then, there's more to it than that. But I do feel he's turned a sort of very solid side into one that is just absolutely irresistible from an attacking sense, and is that it's utilising all those players who maybe slightly had the handbrake on before and are just going for it now. When you look at the goals they've scored, you look at the wins they've picked up, they're smashing 3s and 4s and 5s past people. They've probably already, in my opinion, done enough to get promoted now. When you look at the level of consistency behind them, I just don't see anybody else catching them really. And I think it's as simple as that really. When you look at what he's done since the turn of the year, you look at the points he's picked up. I mean, it's no contest. Though, interestingly, does anybody want to have a guess who is 2nd in points for the calendar year of current Championship sides?
The Championship?
Yeah. It's tricky. And probably unexpected.
I was going to say Millwall with them, but Millwall, Middlesbrough.
You got it, Millwall.
Well, wow.
There you go.
Wow.
I mean, they're a long way back, it has to be said, but they are. So there you go. So there's another contender for you. Is Alex Neil. Again, done a brilliant job at Millwall since he walked through the door.
Yeah.
Perfect fit for the club. Perfect fit. So But yeah, I think while Alex is a close second, it's got to be Frank.
Yeah. Do you think with Frank Lampard as well? Obviously he had his time at Derby, and we, took him to the playoffs, didn't he? And he's had Chelsea and Everton. Do you sort of think, full credit to him for kind of coming back to the Championship kind of thing, and sort of saying, I've got to not go and prove himself again? Maybe, I don't know. How do you sort of see that?
I mean, I think it was. I mean, credit to him, absolutely. But I think it was where he had to go, really, wasn't it? I mean, I don't think he was realistically going to get a Premier League job. So,
but it needed to go well, this one, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that wasn't necessary. I think if you look objectively, he did perfectly well. He did well at Derby. He did very well at Chelsea, really, given the situation he was put in, having to play kids and stuff. And then he kept Everton up at a time when they were struggling. So I think he maybe got a bit of undue stick. But I was one of the people. I'll hold my hands up and say it. When they replaced Mark Robbins with him, I was one of the people who said, it's just it's a bit of a sort of, what's he done to deserve that job? Getting into a parachute into such a good squad. But he's proved me wrong. He's proved everybody wrong. And he's. I think when you look at Frank Lampard now, what you see is someone who was a very established manager at this level, really, and who knows what to do. And it's just kind of, I think quite a lot of Coventry fans were against it as well, if they're honest. And again, something Frank's done really, really well is he's gone in there, and you watch them after games, and he does the old Jurgen Klopp, go over to the fans and give it the 3 fist pumps and all that. And it's, it sounds sort of like cheesy, really, but it is. You can see there is a connection there, and he gets the players to go across and all that sort of stuff. But he's done a lot of very clever things to get that fan base on board and galvanise the club and all that stuff. So yeah, absolutely credit to him. I don't think you can take anything away from what he's done there.
Yeah, I think I talked about in the Football League paper podcast before, didn't we? I quite like the way after the final whistle, you just sort of getting at Southampton now, he is kind of sort of getting chippy with people as well. You think everything he's achieved in his career, and he's still sort of like trying to like settle scores with like fans and winding people up. I just think it's you don't get a lot of that in the slightly sanitized game that it can be today, but I quite like all that.
Yeah.
But those things, like teams you don't like to see, but you absolutely love to see when it, like you see on Saturday when it was all
unsavoury scenes.
Yeah. The commentators like, "Oh, I don't like to see this." You're like,
you do actually, yeah.
But it was, I don't know, it's something about it, isn't it? It's sort of like, this player who's sort of, this man who's had an unbelievable career, achieved all that he's achieved, and then but he's still sort of like kicking off with people on the when he's sort of good result.
That's why you get to where you get to, isn't it?
Yeah. This is it. What about player of the year? Again, tricky one over the sort of calendar year. Couch, I think we're probably going to say the same thing here. So let's start with you. We'll do a countdown. Or you start looking slightly blank at me there.
No, I think I know what you're going to say. I'll probably go the same one. So I mean, I don't know if you want to kick on. Are we talking OP?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it begins with an O. Ends with
I thought it might do. Yeah. I will leave the stage to you, sir.
Ollie Pearce. I mean, if you want goals, then he's just a ridiculous record. Chris, you've seen him play as well at York's. They're on your doorstep, aren't they? But an amazing story. Obviously, he scored loads of goals at Worthing, and then he's stepped up into the National League, and it has been that kind of but can he do it at the that step one? Why has he not gone sooner? All that kind of stuff that he's had to deal with. It turns out goals the same shape and size in the National League. He's put the ball in that a lot of times, and then he's continued it this year as well. I mean, incredible, really, isn't it? That he is scoring the goals that he is at the rate he is, Couchy.
I think the most incredible thing is that he's still in the National League. I mean, there's been a couple of links before. I don't know what kind of fee York would be looking for him, but it would be quite substantial. But how he's still there and how he's still firing York in the 5th tier is beyond me, because the guys shouldn't really be in non-league, to be quite honest with you. His record has been absolutely outstanding. Now, 20 goals already this term, and you could probably argue that he's not really hit the ground running as such yet. he's got a lot of top strikers like Josh Stones in there with him. They bought very well in forward areas of York, and he's just kicked on from there, and I can see him scoring another 20 from now until the end of the season. And if he does that, then York are going to be very close to getting back in the Football League.
Yeah, I guess he's also one of those good example to players that it doesn't necessarily happen early on in your career as well. It can
yeah.
a bit later. Chris, you're obviously in York. Are you sort of seeing Pierce shirts walking around on the
Yeah,
town?
you do. I mean, it's a funny one when you were talking there, because I was thinking, I know you're going to come to me next, and I'm sort of duty bound to pick someone from the Championship because it's the highest sort of level. And but what I was going to say was someone you've got to look at as one of the players of the year in the EFL is Michael Cheek, because you know what he's done. He was he League Two Player of the Year last year? Certainly got the Golden Boot, and then I think he's got 8 or 9 this year. He's back on the goal trail again this year, and that's someone, you know, cut from the same cloth as Ollie Pierce. Really, you know, you look at someone like him who's, as you say, you know, he's into his 30s before he really got a chance in the Football League. You know, he stepped up and he looks like he could play a level above. Looks like he could play League One, really. And you know, I think the problem is you get these players, and you know what works with scouting and player profiling, and you know, you get past about 23, 24, and suddenly you're basically dead to people, and they don't really look. But I think it's especially sort of true with people like Ollie, and who've played a lot of their career in part-time, is that they just don't have the mileage. You know what I mean? Like, you look at someone like Michael Owen and Wayne Rooney and how early their careers finished, because they started at 16. It's not about your biological age. It's about the wear and tear. And if you're playing part-time football until you're 25 or 26, you know, you've got, you know, your body's in far better shape than someone who's been a pro for 10 years at that point.
Yeah.
So, you know, you look at Jamie Vardy. He's a classic example. He was at his peak in his early 30s, and he's still playing in Serie A now at 39.
Yeah.
You know,
when did he come into the Football League? Was he 26?
He was 25, I think. He was 25 when he came in, so he was 26 when he got to the Prem.
Ian Wright was about 27 as well, wasn't he? When he first come into the top flight.
Yeah, and he went well in his 30s as well. So I think as well, you know, that's what I mean. I think it's easy to dismiss someone like Pierce. Whereas really, you could look at a player like that, and you're probably going to get, you know, if you were a League Two team who bought him, you're going to get 6-7 years out of him potentially. You know, it could be the same with Michael Cheek, especially players who don't rely on pace, which neither of them do really. So I think it is, you know, it is a shame that people don't look beyond the data sometimes.
Michael Cheek's a great shout, because I think you'd probably admit, Badders, when Bromley went up, we saw Michael Cheek play a couple of times, and his goal record for Bromley was superb for a good couple of seasons leading into the promotion. But it just saw signs maybe that he wouldn't be the answer to their goal scoring problems in League Two. There were question marks as to whether he could cut it at League Two, whether he had enough about him to be able to make that step up. Not the most mobile of strikers, but a good football brain as well. And it just goes to show that you can write people off all too easily. And I mean, I must admit, I was amazed Michael Cheek had the season he did last year for Bromley, or even though in non-league he was a polished striker. But absolutely fantastic.
It's easy to sort of say. I always thought he would score goals, because I just think, like, you know, because of the style of players. I always remember a few years ago, a manager remain nameless, sort of you say to me, you know, you like look at him sometimes and he doesn't sort of like look like a footballer in some ways, and he kind of was, see him in training and he could be sort of a bit, you know, technically maybe, you know, not what they're sort of like looking for. But then on a Saturday, put him in front on a pitch, and he just smashes. You know, he scores all sorts of goals. His finishing is lethal, and he's been doing that for for such a long time that you kind of think is like, yeah, why don't you get your chance earlier? And I think he maybe would have had it. And I know Andy Woodman at Bromley kind of almost said,
Yeah.
Please stick with me. I will get you to the Football League. And
he was obviously a massive influence, wasn't he?
Yeah. Woodman kept him there and really sort of, you know, kind of put that sort of trust, you know, said, please trust me. And Cheek obviously did do that. But, you know, again, he's a great example because he's not just been at Bromley. He's kind of been further down the chain. He was at like Stanway Rovers, and remember seeing him at Braintree. He was scoring lots of goals there under the Cowleys, and you know, it is like Chris says. It's a shame that sometimes it takes a little bit longer for players, but it's great that they get there. But it's maybe is a little bit of a lesson to sort of Football League clubs to actually sometimes you just got to go and look and see what you see with your own eyes. And if someone's putting the ball in the net a lot, then that's pretty good, isn't it? You sometimes get this thing with, you know, people who score a lot of goals as well. Don't you? Sort of people say, "What else do you do for the team?" And that's not, you know, Cheek certainly not like that because he does put so much work in. Putting the ball in the back of the net is kind of pretty key to football, isn't it?
Well, it's plenty, isn't it?
Yeah, so you know,
it certainly is. Yeah,
yeah. No, it's
it is a trophy final. Do you remember? I think he kind of had many kicks at the football at all, and scored a very, very well taken goal to take it into extra time. But he was largely anonymous really that day, but that was his job, and did his job, and it was the same in the promotion season as well.
Yeah, unbelievable. No, good shout that. Good shout out, Chris. What's a bit of a tricky one? What do you think the best goal of this year that you saw was? Whether you saw it live or on the
well, Barras, I'll go with this. Weirdly enough, right, there have been 3 almost identical goals scored in the EFL this year, which are like almost impossible to separate. I think I've kind of got a favourite. You probably got a favourite, but I'd say the first one was actually on the 1st of January.
Yeah.
Josh Windass scoring from 60 yards-ish versus Derby. There was Reyes Cleary, who scored from 60 yards-ish against Bradford. And then the other week, there was Abdul Fatawa, who scored from 60 yards.
Who was that against?
Against Sudan.
Who was that against, Pouchy?
I think I'm going to say my favourite of the 3.
Surely the first one of the year.
It was probably Cleary. I just think he gets the way he hits it, and it misses the bar by about a millimetre when it goes in. You know, the Fatawi one bounces first, and it just takes a little bit away from the aesthetic of it. So not as good as that one goes so hard.
Christian Walton was standing under the halfway line. Was as good as. But
well, it's funny though, because I think I've written about this in my column a few times. Is that like I'm amazed this doesn't happen more now, because this plays so high, and you know, let's be honest. I know it looks spectacular, but most modern day professional footballers have got the ability to put a ball in from the halfway line. Like and what you know, so you see so many keepers standing 30 yards out of goal, and I'm astonished. It doesn't happen more. And I mean, I guess that's 3 in a year.
Leave yourself very open to it. Yeah. It's certainly happened more than it did back in the old days. I remember you never used to have 60-yard goals before, and
I like the Windass one because he was running with it as well at the same time, and that was the sort of it wasn't just sort of like hitting a dead ball as well either, is it? So that's the sort of quality that Windass had there on that one. But have you seen him live at halfway line goal? Must have done, surely. Have you seen one?
Ooh, that's a very good question.
I don't think I have. I don't think I have.
You know what? I don't think I have either. But there again, that kind of backs up what we're saying, doesn't it? Really. Yeah.
I've seen a couple. So in a National League North playoff eliminator, Shane Byrne for Bratley scored from the halfway line against Gateshead. It was in the COVID years, and totally empty stadium. It was like the first game back after, as you know, when ground started over, or football started playing again, and I think Gates had basically scored right before half time, and I think Bradley was so annoyed that Chamber just came back to him. He just pinged it, assuming it was kind of the last, that the whistle was just going to go, and he just pinged it. So I didn't see it because I was like still writing down about the Gateshead goal, and I looked up and saw the ball not long after it left his foot. And that was just amazing because it just went right into the top corner, sort of like a laser. It was
like that Wayne Rooney one for Everton when he went back to Everton.
That's right. Oh yeah.
It, like it just came out and just smashed it, and it just the keeper's the keeper's not watching it go over his head. The keeper's full diving into the top corner, pretty much on his line, trying to stop it from going in. It's not like a loopy, keeper sort of doing a shoelace up kind of thing.
Actually, I'll tell a lie, I did see one, but it was an altogether very, very different goal. It was Jason Coventry doing it for Ipswich against Tottenham when we were good. But it wasn't a shot; it was a tackle. He actually went into a tackle into the halfway line, and it was a very windy day, and the ball just ballooned up in the air. And it just sort of swirled in the air, and the crowd didn't really know where it was going. And the next thing, it just ended up in the back of the net, and there was our equalising goal and a 1-1 draw. And I think he's spoken about it on TalkSport Radio a few times since, because it surprised him as much as it did anybody else. But yeah, that's the first tackle goal I've seen.
Yes, I've seen a tackle goal. There was one in the Braintree game over the year. That's probably got to be the maddest goal you've ever seen as well. Surely that.
Oh yeah, it was. It was a crazy goal. I was in the end, right behind it, and it just hit the wind, and it was just goalkeeper had no chance because he couldn't see it.
I'm trying to think what the most ridiculous goal I've ever seen is. Sort of like silly, sort of. Can't really think off the top of my head. It's got to be. It's fun, isn't it? How some goals sort of stick out in your mind and others. Have you given us the best goal you've seen live, Couchy? Go on. Or just seen this? Or what's your best goal of the year?
I tell you what, I've got to give a shout for my man Jaden Philogene and I against Norwich. 16 years we haven't beaten them for, and then he goes and does that on Derby Day. Wow, that's got to be up there, certainly for 2025 anyway.
His goal the other week, he scored against the other week when he kind of almost like into the top corner.
He scored a hat-trick against Sheffield United, which was fantastic. It was as good as.
Didn't he beat someone narrowly the other week, and he curled one into the top corner?
Yeah, it was the winner the other week.
Literally the other day before.
That was. I forget who that was against. Yeah, it was. It was. I think it was an evening game, wasn't it?
And he sort of like, he sort of like almost like walked it in, didn't he? It's like a golfer. When golfers
sort of like fantastic goals this year.
They sort of like walk in as the ball's rolling in. They know it's going in. He sort of like hit it, and then he sort of just casually started strolling before it even sort of hit.
It's scored 8 goals this year, and all 8 have come at home.
It was Stoke, wasn't it? Stoke.
Yes, it was against Stoke. That's it. Yeah, it was an evening. Yeah, it was in the second minute. That was right. Yeah. That was the same day as our. That was our Christmas do, wasn't it, Badders, that day?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was.
It was. It's probably why I remember
it. That's why you don't remember it. Can't remember who it was against. But you were so into our WhatsApp group to sort of tell us about at the time. So I
was watching it on a train on my phone, and it was a bit in and out, and I thought maybe I was seeing things. Maybe the lager was too strong or something. I don't know.
That's some strike. Yeah, lots of good goals this year. I think probably one. If I think of like one that I saw live, then think about James Norwood's goal in the playoff final. It was, got them got Oldham back into against Southend. I was always sort of a bit of a sucker for sort of not always like the greatest goals you've ever seen, but sort of like in the big moments. And I think at that point, Southend were winning 2-1. It was kind of fun drifting away from them.
Showed his class that day, didn't he?
Yeah, he just got the ball turned, and it's just the way he goes through. And it's just a little sort of like way he lifts it over the goalkeeper before tucking it in. When you sort of like look back, it's top quality
moments, and experience at a big occasion. That he was,
He certainly came up from then. Well, there's lots to look back. I mean, we could have a little look forward at 2026, but maybe we'll save that for next week's video as well, and kind of sort of have have an idea. It'd be great to hear from anyone watching what you felt your moments of 2025 were, your favourite goals that you saw, managers, players. Let's hear about them, and maybe next week, chats, we'll check in again and we'll have a look forward to 2026 and start trying to look into our crystal balls and predict what might happen and anything also maybe we'd like to see new rules introduced, all that kind of stuff. That'd be great. But chaps, appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Have a great Christmas, and everybody who's tuning in and watching, thanks very much for all your support this year. As we've launched these videos each week, we've really enjoyed doing it, and plenty more to come in the new year. And keep buying the papers. They're out on Sunday as usual. And have a good Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Cheers, brothers.